Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of the Complete Course Construction Series, here with episode 7, working on hole number 7 again. Back after a little bit of a delay, but I've been thinking about this course, I've been talking to a few people about it, and the first thing that I can definitely say is that I think this bunker wants to go. I think it's cluttering up the hole more than anything. I like that we kind of have a pretty, well, in a way we have a pretty binary choice of left or right. But then there's also the degrees of the closer we get to the water taking this more aggressive left path, the better we potentially are. I am thinking of possibly throwing a bunker in down here, kind of on the inside of the. I guess it's not really a dogleg anymore, is it? But on this corner, I think first you might be able to see it on 14. Kind of framing green nicely, especially if the fairway's bumped up a little bit. And we also are punishing anyone who kind of drifts too far right, trying to play down this side. But yeah, definitely getting rid of that bunker I think is the right play. And then looking at the rest of the hole, yeah, I think I'm going to rough the fairway in and I'll see. I feel like there could be a definite window of opportunity to add like a big long bunker down this right side. I think that would look quite nice off the tee. So we'll see how we get on. But yeah, going to start by just throwing the bunker down. Sorry, throwing the fairway down. How close do I want it to get? I want to join these two up. I guess I want the fairway to kind of sit on the kind of crest of that hill. I probably want light rough around the bunker rather than heavy rough, so that hopefully more shots kind of drift down into the bunker rather than getting held up on the bank around it. I don't mind getting a bit closer on this side again, so more balls kind of feed into the bunker. But I'll see. I get the spline points down and then see how we go. You can always tweak them a bit. And this bit of fairway definitely needs raising up because it's sitting way below the height of the sand still, which is just a bit awkward. I tend not to, well, I suppose everyone tends not to like things that look a bit awkward. I want it looking as natural as possible. I want things kind of making sense where they're sitting. So I'll chuck in this half of this portion of the fairway first, and then come in and work on other areas. Just I find that it's a bit easier to work like with a couple of different sections. I know some people tend to just do one giant spline to cover the whole fairway, to cover greens and bunkers and everything. But I find that working in these small sections works for me. I know I probably over-spline, use too many points on my splines, so breaking them up kind of makes them more manageable. I feel like maybe I want this to just swing around a little bit wider. I can always bring that in, can't I? Have more of a kind of catch basin, more of a portion where ball's going to be feeding into, and still have a chance to hit that recovery shot off the fairway rather than have to try and pitch or flop out of the rough. We'll see. I can, again, obviously nothing kind of final at this point. I can very much tweak things as and when I see fit. This edge of the creek, I'm not sure that quite fits, kind of following the wavy edge quite so tightly. I'll see again. I'll just throw it down and maybe tune up the edge a little. No, in fact, I'm not even going to bother seeing how that looks. I'm going to bring it back just a little more and kind of just smooth out any of the bumps, the kind of the little kinks in the stream. I can possibly throw some planting down. I think I'm probably going to just want to raise up the kind of platforms that the fairways are sitting on, especially if I'm going to consider adding those bunkers. Kind of want to think about how, if I lower the ground around this fairway, it's obviously going to take it down to water height and below. and I don't really want the water. I don't want the bunkers sitting below the height of the water. In terms of kind of a real-world application, that would mean that the drainage in the bunkers is going to be an absolute nightmare, which is why it's not done in real courses, which is why it would look a bit weird, a bit awkward if I did it in my course. So, while obviously the drainage isn't so much of a concern for us in-game, I still want it to look how a real course looks, and that's kind of the underlying theory behind why we don't often have bunkers kind of below the height of water tables or anything. So let's jump down onto the tee and see how that fairway looks. I definitely want to change these textures, and I probably actually want to smooth out the edge of that river, don't I? That just, yeah, it doesn't strike me as right. Looks, I like the kind of natural wavy look from a distance, but yeah, I think smoothing out the sculpting of the land just off the edge of the fairway is gonna work quite nicely. And then I pushed it. It's gonna be in the water. That's what happens when we get too aggressive. So let's try again. I guess aiming further this way. I've still pushed it, but got away with it because I aimed a little bit further left. So that's going to be in a reasonably good position, in fact. Especially to a pin. I mean, that's tight enough green, isn't it? Coming down from this angle, or more of this angle, is going to be a bit more awkward to kind of hold that portion of the green. Coming up to here is going to be a real nightmare. I could maybe add a tiny bit of a spine in here to kind of give an opportunity to hold balls on this top platform, because I think that coming in from this angle to a pin up here, you don't really have any kind of shot, and I don't want to, like, if you're on the fairway, you should still have half a chance of hitting a halfway decent shot. That rolls off quite aggressively. I kind of like that though, that we're throwing the ball further away. Definitely with the major course coming up that I'm about to make a serious crack on with, that's something that I really want to work on, really want to pay close attention to. What the ball's doing, running around the green, how to punish misses. That's still got the kind of jaggedy, crinkly edge to it, but kind of just less severe. So I think that's probably a little better. I don't know, maybe you guys can let me know what you think, if you would rather have like a properly smooth creek edge. So I often like the idea of like a properly retained creek, a bit like the Burn at St Andrews. I'd love to be able to do something like that. Obviously, retaining walls in the game are funky at best. They present their own host of issues. So I'm gonna steer clear of it for now. Throw in this back half of the fairway as well. I don't imagine many people are using this section of the hole, but it will fill in the space. It will offer that option for anyone who maybe doesn't have the top gear, or anyone who feels that playing down this right side is not necessarily a bad choice. It will give you a better angle in. If you take it on all the way up here, it's still quite a tight drive, especially if I'm going to throw that bunker in down the right. I think once we get back to the tee, once we've got this fairway in, I can get rid of these measure tools and start exploring that idea of a bunker down the right, and see how it's going to frame the hole, and what kind of challenge it might present as well. So I'm definitely, I feel a bit not aggrieved, because it's entirely within my control that I haven't been able to work on this as much as I'd like, but this is a project that I'm definitely excited about. I'm really enjoying the direction it's heading. I'm really enjoying some of the comments that people have given, some of the feedback I've had, and yeah, it's just a shame that I've got so many projects on the go. Definitely kind of overestimated my time management skills as much as anything, I think. But yeah, this is definitely one that I'm enjoying having the kind of freedom to have on the back burner and kind of look at and explore as and when. Yeah, definitely need to change these textures, and I definitely need to lower the brow of this hill, because I didn't realise that this hill was the kind of limiting factor on how much of the creek we could see there. Obviously the idea is that we can see some of that fairway to know that that's kind of a layup option, and to maybe give us a sense of distance. I don't mind this tee box being here, because it's kind of out of your line of view, but I do want to be able to see this fairway short of the creek, so that we know, kind of spelled out in front of us, we've got quite a tight drive down this side, a bit more of an open drive down this side, but like if we want to lay up, we've got all the space in the world back here, because as it currently stands, I can't see where that's landing. I can't see any of the trouble around it or lack thereof. To then know that I'm coming in for a back pin was probably not quite as good an option as I thought it might be. If I'm trying to throw a 5-iron up there, that's held pretty nicely. Or has it? It might need a little bit of smoothing out, because that was dangerously close to getting away from us for a pretty decent shot. So that means that I want to drop this portion of this hill fairly significantly. So get the digger out, start cutting land back there, and yeah, I'll have to reflatten that tee box, but that's alright. So not massive land movements, I suppose, not kind of anything that that's sort of totally reimagining the plot, but let's jump back on and see if we need to go a little more. Yeah, could maybe go with I don't know actually, because I kind of like how we've got the land moving here, playing off that angle. The creek is a bit more of a diagonal. This land movement in this bunker are closer to the horizontal, but I think I kind of like the interplay of that. And I'm just thinking that maybe having the bunker up the right, run slightly left to right. That might kind of funnel your eye that way. I think I'm gonna explore that idea. I'm gonna sketch something in and see, because I do definitely want to raise pretty much the entire hull, just kind of outside of. Well, if I have a bunker sitting in here, I don't know how much of that's going to be bunker. A nice kind of flat bottom bunker again, but I want that to be narrowly above the water plane, which is where it's currently. If it's at that height, yeah, a foot and a half above the water plane works nicely. But we're actually below the height there, so that definitely wants to come up. Although we are stepping down, so it makes sense. But then if I have the bunker here at kind of that height, I definitely want there to be more of a slope to the edge of the fairway. So probably worth considering just raising the whole hull, as it were, just with a softish brush. I don't want to get too much of the first. I don't want to get too much of not the gold hole, I suppose. I'll just raise it up a foot, and then I can lower the creek again to a pretty clear idea of where that was. I should have probably sketched in some measure tools to show me exactly where the edge of the creek was, so I can get it right. But hopefully just be able to bring things down a little, have a little bit of a steeper bank, and a bit more definition, I suppose, between the fairway and the rough, and kind of where you should be playing and where you definitely shouldn't. So definitely going to be a bit of fudging around with the landscaping. Yeah, keep on going back to this tee. I definitely feel that it wants something down the right, and I could very much get on board with that being a nice flat bottom bunker. So throwing a quick save. Because, and maybe do I want one all the way down the right as well? Like I don't necessarily want to punish someone who chooses to play here, because that's like that's a 5-iron maybe, especially to the back portion of green, and even like a 6 or a 7-iron to a very small front portion. So I don't want this to be like a really awkward tee shot. So I don't necessarily want a bunker back there, but it is nearly 50 yards wide, and we're nearly hitting driver to get up into this corner. Let's see, does driver run out of room? Because you could argue that that's almost the best angle to be coming in from. Yeah, driver's going to run out of room. But it's certainly a decent angle. Maybe not. Well, there's not really any good angle to get up to there. Is probably want to flatten out that dangerously threatening orange slope there. And I want to turn down the lighting a bit, don't I? I want to have a look at that in a moment. So I want the bunker to maybe sit a couple of yards off of the edge of the fairway, but I'm going to bring it down so that it's sitting a foot or so below the height of the fairway. So that's kind of a nice gradient. So that's the distance that I'm looking at, and I can kind of hug the edge of the fairway 3 yards out from it to have a nice, clean, consistent border. I hope I can anyway. That's a very straight line. I have to do a bit better than that when I come to spline in the bunker. That's going to be enormous. How long is this bunker? 65, 70 yards long. And this is going to be like, yeah, 120. I suppose that's not too egregious. Just need to decide how wide it wants to be as well. So that feels too skinny to me for what I'm trying to achieve on this side. And that was 7 yards. Probably maybe 50% bigger than that. So I'm looking at maybe kind of 11 yards deep. Yeah, I feel like that size could fit. And what shape do I want? Yeah, I feel like that size could fit. What do I want with the shape? I kind of feel like I maybe want a little bit bigger at both ends, a little bit of a kind of, not quite a peanut shape, because it's very exaggerated from that, isn't it? With the length of the bunker. Maybe like a bit of a wave, just to add some life to it. That looks too rigid for my liking, too kind of structured. So do I take it much wider at the top end, or much wider at the bottom and have it taper in? I could have it go all the way down here, couldn't I? And maybe then swoop it out a little more, like this. And I can probably get away with throwing in a couple of those little islands as well. That might be nice. So let's flatten that. And I want to, so from the edge of the fairway, probably want to go down. I want to go down to pretty close to that height, so that's down. I want to go maybe down 2 foot from there. And that'll be my height set, and then work it from there, I guess. So just flatten the whole sort of pan of the bunker. We've seen these flat bottom bunkers before, seen it here, seen it done probably better by other people as well. So I'll jump forward in time to where we've got everything flattened, and I can start cracking on with a bit more interesting stuff. So there we go. I think that's the pan of the bunker flattened out. I probably want to bring up this edge of the fairway a little more. I noticed while flattening it that that's kind of a fairly shallow edge. So I'll just raise up this whole thing. Hopefully that's not gonna. Well, it can sort out this catch basin a little bit. I've got a lot of wiggle room to move that up anyway, because I want to get rid of that orange slope. And obviously something to consider. Kind of every land move that you make, particularly the bigger ones, have a bit of a knock-on effect to the rest of your course. So even though I'm kind of trying to shape the bunker here, I'm still affecting the height of the green. I know a couple of people have run into problems of having to go over what they've done multiple times because they feel like they get it right, and then they make a change somewhere else on the course, and it kind of screws up what they've already done. So if we can avoid that, that's obviously best avoided, rather than having to. Why does that keep on? I'm gonna have to drop this to get it down to 69 foot 9 inches. That little T height indicator at the top of the screen. Just keeping an eye on that to make sure I'm staying at the right level. Hopefully that's. Oh, changes hull there. And then, yeah, I think maybe I want like one of those islands in there, and then maybe one a bit more of a funky shape, perhaps in like that. Yeah, I don't imagine anyone's sort of going in there too much or going that far into that edge of the bunker too much, so I don't think I need to worry about it a great deal. And yeah, I want a nice, smooth, flowing bunker edge that broadly follows this shape, stays that kind of 3 yards away from the fairway. And yeah, I'm gonna need to change the profile of things a bit there. And also, I'm gonna want to change the weather, aren't I? If this is gonna happen, if it's gonna cloud over like this and get very, very grey. Again, not my area of expertise so much, the aesthetics of the course. I feel like I can make it look how I want it to look in general, but some of the guys can tune up their lighting and have things looking ridiculously good. And obviously it will still look good in kind of any lighting settings. But I'm just gonna fill in this edge of the bunker, and then come back and do the back half with a second spline. Not worried about that water table just yet, because I'm raising the pan of the bunker. Obviously the bunker has done its auto flattening thing, which I kind of wish there was a way to fix it or to turn that off. I wish there were more kind of customization settings with laying bunkers down, kind of whether it auto flattened, whether it added a lip. Well, that's probably coming too high up this slope, isn't it? I haven't flattened that quite well enough. but once we get the water table involved again, I'll be able to see exactly where my level is. But yeah, pot bunkers would be a really nice addition, and just generally more lips. I know sand bell courses can be a bit awkward to make with the kind of lack of a bunker lip. And then right, follow this shape. Hopefully, that's kind of. I'm not worried about kind of getting it exact here. It's just kind of something to break up the size of the large pan of sand. No, smooth. Get rid of these measure tools. Go back to T for a little view. Yeah, apart from the edge of the bunker being madly crinkled, I'm quite happy. That I feel like that definitely adds something. So I'm going to end today's episode here, guys. I'm going to go and flatten out the pan of that bunker a bit more off screen, and hopefully I'll be back with episode 8 sooner rather than later. But until then, if you've enjoyed the video, please drop me a like. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and if you want to stay tuned for future parts. And until I catch you in the next one, guys, I hope you have a great day. But until then, it's going to be all from me, so bye for now.